My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be M Montgomery, Video 26, Dream Nightmares Part 2. That's dream-nightmares. Is it a dream or a nightmare? Sometimes you're not really sure. So here is my novel, M Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield. And here's the summary of the novel. In 1938, with another world war looming and her own personal problems threatening to overwhelm her, acclaimed Canadian author M Montgomery begins to write what she has decided will be her final Anne novel. As she works on the new book, she recalls the days when Anne of Green Gables became a worldwide literary phenomenon and the dilemma that she faced at that time, whether to write a series of novels in which Anne would perpetually remain the child the world had come to know and love, or to allow Anne to grow to adulthood with all the agonizing torments of the one who had given her life, M Montgomery. So if your life, your adult life is painful, would you really want your child to grow older? Well, your human child has to grow older, but your fictional child doesn't have to grow older if you decide not to have her grow older. That was the dilemma that she faced. Now, she faced it in 1905 when she, Ellen Montgomery, hadn't had an adult life. She's reviewing it. Was I right or wrong to let Anne grow into a world which can be so painful? Now, keeping three novels in mind, the one I held up is my novel. In my novel in 1938, Ellen Montgomery is an author, and she is writing her new novel, Anne of Ingleside. While writing her new novel in 1938, her mind goes back to 1905 when she was writing her first novel, and the first novel in which Anne is a character, Anne of Green Gables. So, three novels to keep in mind. Perhaps the greatest quest in the human experience, the quest which is common to all human beings, is the quest to understand the self. The physical journeys which people undertake, and which become the plots of the books and the movies that we enjoy reading and watching, take us far in distance and deep in depth into the physical world and universe. The quest that takes us in search of an understanding of the human mind, that of our own and that of others, takes us deeply into the image-creating and image-patterning subconscious mind. There are 7 dream nightmares in this novel, and I will read 4 of them in this video presentation. So dream-nightmares. Some of these phenomena we label as dreams, positive, and some we label as nightmare, but we don't always know when they're occurring. Let's go to chapter 8, page 58 for the first one. Now, each has 3 segments. These dream nightmares surface in the mind among other thoughts. So here's the first one then. I'm a twin. There's another me. She is my sister. She is my friend. She has no corporeal being. She is trapped in another body. My twin sister is trapped inside of me. And then a page or so later, the second segment surfaces among other thoughts. My twin sister lives inside me. She eats the food I eat. She breathes the air I breathe. She sees what my eyes see. She thinks no other thoughts but what I think. And then a few pages later, the third segment of the dream nightmare pops up among other thoughts. I try to will myself to give birth. I squat and grunt and strain like the women in the fields of long ago. I want to expel my twin from my body. She deserves to have her own life. She is trapped inside the being that is me. Well, what's that all about? I don't know. I guess I would think of M Montgomery, the person, and Anne of Green Gables, the character. If M Montgomery is dreaming or having nightmares about a person being trapped inside her. Let's go to chapter 10. page 74, for another dream nightmare. I have a genie in a bottle. Genie. I have a genie in a bottle. It has a cork on top. I take the bottle with me wherever I go. I watch him through the glass. The genie points to himself, and then he points at me. He seems to see a connection between we two. What a shame that he has to spend his life in a bottle. Okay, a little later. What a shame the genie spends his life in a bottle. What a wonderful life together we could have. I take the cork out of the bottle and the genie emerges. The genie smiles at me as if there's a connection between we two. He grows and grows and grows, taller and taller and taller. I shrink and shrink and shrink, smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the third segment of this dream-nightmare is this. A genie has me in a bottle. It has a cork on top. He takes the bottle with him wherever he goes. He watches me through the glass. I point to the genie, and then I point at me. I want him to see a connection between we two. I hope that the genie will let me out of the bottle. Well, again, I guess I would say think of M Montgomery, the person, and Anne of Green Gables, the character. Let's go to chapter 12, page 92, for another one. Here we are. Right. Looks like a child's head on a swimming bladder, bobbing and windblown, far from shore. Waves are tumbling, and I plunge in and start to swim. The head bobs up and down, and then disappears, and then rises again and again. I swim towards the struggler with all deliberate speed. A wave surges, and the head is lost to me, and the wave subsides, and I catch a glimpse again. A second installment of this dream nightmare. I am tired, but I am determined. I am swimming as fast as I can. The struggler must be exhausted. I swim up and down the waves. I can't believe that the head keeps bobbing up again. I'm far beyond the shore. The wind is attaining ferocious speed. The poor soul is drifting out to sea. And then the third installment of this dream nightmare. I wipe my eyes and try to focus. Perhaps it is only a child's ball, ducking and drifting on the waves. But how can it not be a person? Did I not clearly see it wave? Surely I saw it waving. It was desperate and waving frantically at me. I moved my exhausted body. I was the only one on the beach. This cannot be just an illusion. I'll never forgive myself if I let this poor child down. Well, rescuing somebody who maybe doesn't need rescuing, maybe there is no person at all who needs rescuing. On the other hand, there might be a person who needs rescuing, so you can't just let it go. Okay, then we go to 110, I guess. Okay. Page 110. For the last dream nightmare that I'm going to read. It is a warm, sunny day. I'm in the Cavendish Cemetery. A funeral is taking place. Many mourners have gathered around an open grave. There's a casket setting on trestles. The casket is open with a corpse inside. I move among the mourners. Some look up and some do not. I look down at the casket. The corpse is me. The second installment of this dream nightmare. The minister begins the service. We shall now speak well of the dead. Every mourner opens a book and begins to read. All the mourners read at once. Dozens of voices rise and fall. The sun is shining down on the casket. The voices drone in murmured contentment, the honeyed tongues of satisfied bees. Every mourner is reading from a novel which was written by me. And then the third installment of this dream nightmare. I stand and shout for attention. I demand the right to read. All the mourners stop reading and stare. I clutch a handful of sheets of paper. I bring the truth among you. I insist that you listen to me. The wind blows cold and the sky grows dark. A gale is blowing up at sea. I clutch the papers tight in my fingers. I read the words from the fluttering pages I hold in my hand. I shout to try to make the mourners hear. So what if something's being read at your funeral with which you disagree and you try to read something else and find great difficulty? In 2 video presentations, I read the 7 dream nightmares which appear in this novel. All of these dream-nightmares I would place under the category of the literary device of deepening imagery. The point that I would make is that a novel is not made up of deepening imagery alone. The secret of the ancient writers, the secret of all high-level writing over all of time, has been that there are 2 layers, 2 elements, 2 dimensions in every play or novel, and these 2 modes of presentation interact when a person is watching a play or reading a play or a novel. The 2 elements that interact dynamically are, number 1, the surface level everyday life of the individual, and number 2, a layer of the deepening imagery which offers to illuminate that individual's life. So surface level story and deepening imagery story. Usually, of course, in literature, the surface presents an individual in crisis, as this is more interesting and entertaining than the story of a person whose life is moving fairly smoothly on well-oiled grooves. Nevertheless, in all items of serious literature, there's the surface story of an individual who's moving through a situation, and a layer of imagery that can comment on the surface life of the individual or the group that is being presented in the play or the novel. When I say can comment on, what I mean is that imagery is a thought stimulator, but it is latent unless the reader of a play or novel or the viewer of a play engages with the imagery. Unless the reader, whether consciously or subconsciously, asks what the connection can possibly be between the surface life of the individual or group that's being depicted and the deepening imagery about the life that is being presented, that is being made available to the reader, the poem or play can have no meaning at all. Now, this is my novel, M Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield. It's found on Amazon. If you look there, you'll find more information. It's found on my publisher's website, roxmillspress.com. More information there. On my website, johnpassfield.ca, there are 2 free books. One is the planning notebook that I wrote while I was planning and writing this novel, and the other is the reflective journal, which I wrote while I was polishing the novel. So if you're interested in any of these topics, have a look. And lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.